Well, welcome back, everyone. Lights, camera, action. It's Make Our World Your Runway. You know, this is the weekly show that interviews the most fascinating individuals from the world of modeling, fashion, beauty, business, and even the entertainment industry. And as always, we have a very exciting show planned for you today. I think I told my viewers about that last week. But before we begin, we always like to make a few special announcements. One of the things that we like to do is to thank the sponsors who make this show possible to be with you every week. And that is the Luxe Salon, Margaritaville at Sea, 100 Successful Women in Business, the Global Trade Chamber, and Vita Designs. So once again, sponsors, thank you so much for making this show possible. And we like to tell our viewers, remember to subscribe to the Global Trade Chamber YouTube channel so that you can see all the shows from Make Our World Your Runway and Success Stories. And I highly recommend our viewers to tune into Success Stories because this show features the most amazing women in the world of business and community service. From humble beginnings to successful entrepreneurs, these women will totally inspire you. And of course, get ready for some exciting conferences, speakers, and awards as 100 Successful Women in Business and the Global Trade Chamber will come to a city near you. And we are calling all successful women in business because it's time to shine a light on your achievements. We will be doing a very big international show coming in November. It will be at the DoubleTree Hotel in Miami. There is going to be awards, networking, conferences, business expo, fashion show, and of course, Make Our World Your Runway will be there going live. So let's come together to honor the impactful work of women in business and community service. Now, to attend this event, it is a free event, but you must sign up. Please go to the website at www.100swb.com for all the information. Now, if you want to be a speaker and also an exhibitor, there's information on the site as well. So once again, to see success stories and Make Our World Your Runway, remember to subscribe to the Global Trade Chamber YouTube channel. And for all the other information, please go to the website at www.100swb.com for all the information. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get on to our show, Make Our World Your Runway. And today I have a fabulous and a special guest in the studio. She represents a wonderful organization, and I'm just going to give you a little bit of information, and then I'm going to have her introduce herself and take it from there. But more than a half a century ago, a determined group of women called themselves the Royal Dames and joined forces to fight one of mankind's most formidable foes, cancer. Believing that a cure could only be found through research, they began to support the groundbreaking work done at the Rumbaugh-Goodwin Institute, RGI, which is now located at Nova Southeastern University. RGI's new patent therapeutics are showing great promise in treating many types of cancer, and also brain cancer, which is considered one of the most deadliest. They've come so far, but with your help and all our help, they can go the distance. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to introduce you to this wonderful, fabulous lady who's head of the Royal Danes, Carole Nugent. Carole, welcome to Make Our World Your Runway.
Well, welcome, Angela. Thank you for having me here. I feel very honored to be in your presence. It is really, truly an honor. Anyway, Angela, you know, the Dames were started back in 1969, which is a long time. So for a local charity, we're pretty well established.
Right.
And it was started by a lady called Teresa Castro. Now, Teresa Castro was married to Bernard Castro, and for your viewers that are old enough, they will remember Castro convertibles. Yes. And they'll also remember the little girl who would come on and show you how easy it was to open one, and her name was Bernadette. And Bernadette is still a member of the Royal Dames. She now lives in New York, though, but she does come down for events, and she has always been a staunch supporter of us. Anyway, her mother was very socially prominent, and she was approached one day by a researcher, Leo Goodwin, and Leo said, you know, he said, I'm doing a lot of research, but I need $250,000. Now, in 1969 money, $250,000 was a lot, but in today's money, that's over $2 million.
Oh,
But she said to him very blithely, no problem, I'll just get 25 of my friends to donate $10,000, which in today's money is about $87,000, and you'll have your money to do your research. And this established the Goodwin Institute for Cancer Research.
wow.
Then in 2000, a man named Joseph Rumbaugh gave a very generous gift to the Institute, and it became known as the Rumbaugh-Goodwin Institute.
Right now,
And
yes.
then in 2005, we became part of NOVA. So they have us at a building there on collaborative research. And let me tell you, it has been a journey for me to learn so much about cancer and cancer research. I think our mission statement for the Dames really says it all, and that is, it is our fundamental belief that mankind is not destined to die of cancer. To this end, the Royal Dames of Cancer Research are dedicated to funding the research to find a cure. And that's what we've done. We've never wavered, we've never changed, we have just dedicated ourselves to research. And these are pretty impressive words back in 1969 when you know that the rate of survival from cancer was 23.7%.
Wow.
And now the survival rate is 45.2, which is almost double.
Double, yes.
But why? Because of research. I cannot express to your viewers how important research is. And once you hear those three little words that no one wants to hear, you have cancer, you are now relying on research to save your life. Because that's what research does. It saves your life. As I always say, it's not warm and fuzzy, like giving a teddy bear to a child with cancer, or
Right.
giving a wig to a woman who's lost all her hair because of cancer. But if it wasn't for research, that child and that woman would not be alive to get those gifts.
Absolutely.
So, research is the bedrock of cancer. Anyway, our research at Nova University in 𝐅𝐨𝐿 is led by Dr. Rathanathalu. And under his leadership, 𝐅𝐨𝐿 has discovered and patented 2 anti-angiogenic molecules.
Wow.
And angiogenic just means that it inhibits blood vessel formation to tumors. And the Institute mainly focuses on treatment for breast, lung, prostate, colorectal, and glioblastoma and neuroblastoma. Now recently, through funding from the Royal Dames, we are helping to bring a possible brain cancer drug to the market, as you mentioned.
Yes.
And the drug, and we feel very proud of this, has been renamed RD1 because of the funding. And like many discoveries, it was serendipitous. And this is how it happened. Researchers set up to do an experiment for another type of cancer. So they were expecting to see this drug go to that organ. But the drug did not do that. It went to the brain. They were just flabbergasted. How could this be? Have they made a mistake? Have they done something wrong? So they set up the experiment again, taking very great care that nothing was set up wrong. And again, the formulation went to the brain. And then in that beautiful eureka moment that researchers sometimes get in a
Yes.
lifetime, they said, oh my, maybe we have discovered something that can help cure brain cancer.
Beautiful.
And as you said, it is the deadliest form of brain cancer. And this drug that we have, this formulation, I don't know whether we quite call it a drug yet,
Right.
crosses the blood-brain barrier, which is very difficult for a lot of drugs to do.
Yes.
And once it crosses that blood-brain barrier, it shrinks the tumor. So now that we have done that kind of testing, we have to go for what's called an IND, which is an investigational new drug filing. So, because now you want to know, would it work in humans? You know,
Yes.
it works on our lab mice that are
Right.
very similar to us with DNA and everything. And this is where we are now waiting anxiously for a contract manufacturing company to make their final decision as to whether they will sign the agreement and prepare this formulation for human consumption. Then from there, we can go into clinical trials. We are also finding that this drug may be important for neuroblastoma, which is a devastating cancer that happens
Yes.
to children. And there are a lot of other projects underway at 𝐅𝐨𝐿. Do we have time? Can I discuss?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay.
This is fabulous.
Well, we're doing one now with prostate cancer. We're trying to find biomarkers. Think of them as little flags in the body that tell us something that could happen.
Right.
It seems that black men get a more aggressive form of prostate cancer than other men. So they have mounted a study to look for the biomarkers so that if you are a man who comes in to be tested, you will know from finding this biomarker that you could be ready to get an aggressive form of cancer, and you want to do whatever you can to prevent
it. Wow. Excellent.
There is also something, everybody jokes, sometimes the cure is worse than, the disease. And that happens to be true in something called CIPN, which is chemotherapy-induced neuropathy.
Yes.
Anyway, peripheral neuropathy. Let me start again.
It's okay.
CIPN, which is chemically induced peripheral neuropathy. And this can be deadly even. And they are looking for these markers, these biomarkers that would say, well, you should not have that kind of cancer treatment for your cancer because you are very high risk of getting CIPN. And so then they will design a different kind of biomarker they will design a different cancer treatment for you. And there are so many wonderful things going on. These are just a few of the studies. But as I always say, this is research, and research takes cubic dollars. So
Yes, it does.
how do the Royal Dames raise this money? Well, we do it in many ways, but our biggest way of raising money is through events. We have a spring luncheon, we have a fall luncheon, we have a Kentucky Derby party, and we have a Tierra Ball, which happens in November 22nd this year at the Marriott Hotel. It is our biggest fundraiser for the year. It's called the social event of the season. And this is where we raise most of the money that we use to do this. And people have also asked me, well, who are the Royal Dames? Well, we're a group of about 200 women. And I must say they're very pretty women. You've seen a lot of them.
They're beautiful. Every one of them is gorgeous. Yes.
And yet, they're worker bees.
They
They
are.
roll up their sleeves, and these ladies work very hard, and they are very dedicated. Because you would be surprised how many people have had cancer, or know someone that has cancer, or has a relative that has cancer.
Yes.
So all these ladies are very committed to working hard, and we do raise quite a bit of money. We're always looking to raise more because it is research that will save your life.
That's very true. And I heard something today on television. See, I have a saying, okay? I don't like to get political, but you've brought tears to my eyes. This because I totally believe in research. And I feel that if a person has $1 or $1 million, no one should be denied health care. Health care is not a privilege, it's a right. And it should be a right for everyone. And you have said something, it takes a lot of dollars for research. I heard something on the news last night, and I watch a lot of the financial shows. And they said that the United States had always been the #1 country as far as research and looking into things. And they said, and because of budget cuts in the last 40 days, that has stopped. So what Royal Dames is doing is so important. Because I've had people in my family, my father died of cancer, okay? And the research is very important, okay? If you don't have that research out there, if you don't have those dollars, what do you have? And you're right, people don't want to hear those three little words. You have cancer. No matter how progressive that cancer already is, or if it's in the beginning stages, you just don't know what's going to happen. And I even remember when I had my heart attack back in 2007, okay? At that time, stents, heart stents, were just coming into play. And luckily for me, I didn't have to go into open heart surgery. They were able to put 3 stents in one artery. Through that research, okay, if we did not have the funds for that, or even the government looking into that, I probably would not be sitting here talking to you right now. Because the doctor had told my husband, had he waited a half hour more, I would have been gone. I was on the highway, and I tell people a story. And I looked my husband straight in the eye, and I said, I think I need an ambulance. And he called 911, and a police officer came directly behind us. And I was like, from here to where that camera was, to the hospital, Palm Beach Gardens Medical Center, which in Florida is like one of the top heart hospitals. So I was lucky. I was a stone's throw away. But the police officer, in fact, I go visit him. This happened to me on 4th of July. I always tell people, I brought it in with a bang. But this police officer actually came into the emergency room and he says, no one dies on my watch. And to hear that was very comforting. They got me into surgery. They put those stents in. When my husband came back a few hours later, he was amazed to see me sitting up and eating dinner. 2 days later, I was released from the hospital. The rest was history. But if we didn't have that research, like you said,
It's like children.
Right.
You know, how 95% used to die of blood cancer.
Yes.
Now only about 5%. And you know, people say, oh, they'll never find a cure for cancer. Well, cancer is about over 200 and some odd different diseases. No, they'll
Right.
never find one cure, but they've found many. And people that are lucky to be in that percentage that cancer will cure. Because you hear now on television advertising, you know, if you have the H1 gene on the 4th level of whatever,
Yes.
that's how specific cancer treatment has to get to save your life. And I always say, you know, research is very expensive until it saves your life. And then it's very inexpensive.
Right. A lot of people say that, okay? I've heard that. And I said, you know what? I said, you could have all this money in the bank, but when you get an illness, you know what? That money doesn't mean anything because your life is more important. And I always say that. And I am so glad for what you're doing and even the Heart Association, because I just went to my heart doctor. And I had said to him, I started feeling a few little pains up here. And I said, look, I said, you know my history? And he says, yeah. He said, let me run a couple of tests. And he did. And he said to me, he said, Angela, he said, if I did not know your history, you know, you had a heart attack and had those stents, I'd never know you had anything wrong with your heart. He says, since we've done that, he said, your heart relaxes well. It speeds up when it needs to. He said, you know what? We're just going to keep monitoring you. He said, if those pains keep up, and I didn't know this, he says, you don't have any clogged arteries. He said, well, what I could do is one stent here and one stent here, 2 additional stents, just to keep the arteries open so that there's no, he said, there'd be no repercussions of them clogging, and the little anxiety pain you're getting would disappear. But you know when he said that to me? It probably had something to do with me psychologically, because once I knew that everything was fine, those pains actually stopped.
Or that there was something that could fix it.
Right, they could fix it. And that's what my husband said to me, go. He said, you know how your cardiologist is. And I love this guy because all during COVID, he made sure, and he said, Angela, he said, I have so many patients. He said, you're one of the very few that are still up ground. And I looked at him, I said, what do you mean? He said, because you followed everything I said during COVID. He said, when I told you, I don't want you to travel. You shouldn't be going out. You need to do this. He said, you followed everything I said. He says, and look at today. You are still sitting here, and you're able to talk about this. He said, I have so many people that would not take my advice. They're not here today. And I was really shocked when he said that to me. And he was telling me when I was in there last month, he says, we are doing more and more research. And he also has people that have heart conditions that have cancer. So he said, I have to work with the Cancer Institute. He said, because I have to know what to do. He said, especially when they're going through chemo, we don't want the heart, he said, to fail. We don't want the heart to get weak. So between the two organizations, there is a lot of research going on.
Well, we hope to continue that research, and anybody who would like to learn more about the Royal Danes
Yes.
and the work that we do, they should go to our website, which is royaldanes.org, and you will see what we are planning and what we are hoping for the future.
Yes, and I love all the events that you're doing, okay? And especially the luncheons that I've been to. I'm looking forward to the Tierra Ball.
Yes.
You know, and all that money going to this research is absolutely fabulous because, you know, when my mom was really sick, and even in the nursing home, you know, I would walk around and you'd see people in the late stages of cancer, and it's really heartbreaking to see people like that. You know, I mean, not just older people. I mean, I just found out, and I don't know why anybody didn't call me. My cousin got cancer and died in 4 months. Okay, 67 years old. My husband just found out that his ex-boss was late 60s, just died of melanoma. Okay, I had another cousin of mine that started out with breast cancer. They were, you know, giving her the treatment. Got to the brain, she died. She was only 67. And, you know, I heard something on the news, and they said life is can be an extended runway. It just, if you don't fall into problems. And when I get up every morning, that's what I think about. I said, you know what, I've got to go forward. But I just believe in things like this, and I believe in helping people. And the reason why is because I never know when something happens to me. I would want people to help me and to say, someone to hold my hand or say, hey, you know what, we're going to help you. We're going to help you get through this. So besides the research, I know this, when people go through this psychologically, it can be devastating.
Just the words, you have cancer, whether it's a minor cancer or
Right.
a major cancer, scares you.
It does.
Because even if it's minor, you know, you think, well, has it gone someplace else? Has it metastasized?
Yes.
Am I going to be okay? And it's just the idea of having this, you know, runaway cell in your body that's going crazy. It scares you.
It does. It really does. And you know, there's so many illnesses out there, but this one here, I mean, like I said, my cousin, 4 months, was gone. My father, great, up until the end. He was in remission for 13 years. Not that many people get there, okay? But he was one of the lucky ones. My father was a fighter with everything that he had wrong with him. But when he got leukemia, lymphoma, and they did treat him aggressively, he went into remission for 13 years. And he lived till 85. And God bless him. Even at the end, my father had a proverbial gift of gab. He was still talking. But he was one of these people that no matter what he had, he'd get up and fight, you know. And I think I learned that from him. No matter what happens to me, even with my heart attack, I said, okay, I'm here now. Where am I going to be a half hour from now? Where am I going to be tomorrow? So that's the way I kind of approach it and I look at it. But research, I totally believe in that, okay? And especially when I see these little children, okay? Like when I see the commercial for St. Jude's, I got to keep a box of tissues by the couch because it's heartbreaking to see. They don't ask for this. And to see them get that, it's devastating. And another thing I'm very happy about is my husband works for AutoNation. Now, of course, they work with Susan G. Komen, okay, for breast cancer. But AutoNation has a policy. If anybody at AutoNation should get cancer, or an immediate family member, like a wife or a husband, they will send you for treatment. Do not have to pay for it. AutoNation.
Really? I did not know that. That's a great thing. Maybe if more companies would do that.
Yes.
Push the needle much further.
They would push the needle much,
cure.
exactly. But AutoNation, if God forbid my husband got cancer tomorrow, they would put him in the hospital and pay for all the treatment. Same thing with me. They pay for everything. And that is great because that takes the pressure off the family. We only have about 5 minutes left, but is there anything that you want to tell our viewers, anything more that?
Well, I would ask if there's some wonderful ladies out there who want to roll up their sleeves and work, to certainly go on our website. As I said before, it's royaldames.org. Sign up. Come to our event in November 22nd. It's at the Marriott Hotel. And just, even if you don't do cancer research, do something for your community.
Exactly.
Do something that makes you feel that you're contributing to society, because there's no feeling that you can imagine when you think you're doing and feel you're doing something wonderful to help another human being.
Exactly. You said a mouthful there. And to all my viewers out there and to all my pageant ladies, every year we work with a different charity. And this year the World Dames is our charity of choice. And we are going to be working with Pageant Planet, the People's Choice Awards, and we're going to be doing fundraisers so that we can make sure that we can donate money, okay, to World Dames, and at the same time keep this research going. Because everyone out there who hears my voice, this is very, very important. Never say it cannot happen to you, because I've been in that situation. You can be fine today, and tomorrow find out you have something devastating. And I love the idea of the Tiara Ball, November the 22nd, because that's the day after my birthday. So I get a chance to do something great for my community, and at the same time celebrate my birthday with some wonderful people. But ladies and gentlemen, I do want to thank you for tuning in to Make Our World Your Runway. This has been a spectacular show. And as Carole said, join the World Dames. You can go to their website. You're not only doing something for yourself, but you're doing something for the community. And again, like I said, you never know today or tomorrow if you're going to need that help, a family member, or a very good friend. So once again, I want to thank you for joining in to Make Our World Your Runway. And as always, tune in next week when we have another fabulous show. Thank you again, and we'll see you soon.